So the next few lessons, we're going to talk about some, they're called transformations. So when you graph line segments or shapes on a graph, there are different things that you can do to those. You can manipulate those shapes. And the first transformation we're going to talk about is called a flip or a reflection. This is just when a figure changes sides on a graph. So if it flips from the left side of the graph to the right side of the graph, it's going to flip over the y-axis. Or if it flips from the top of the graph to the bottom of the graph, it's going to flip over the x-axis. So that's what we're going to talk about in this lesson. It's actually covering lesson 140 and 144. I'm not even actually sure why this textbook does it like this in two different lessons. So we're going to just do them both at the same time and move on. All right, this picture is straight out of your textbook from lesson 140 and lesson 144. This is a picture of a flip. So we have this red line was our original line. The points for this, it's a line segment. The points for this line segment are -1, 3, and -2, 5. Now in this case, this is a mirror image flipping over the y-axis. Here's the y-axis, and it flips from this side of the y-axis to this side of the y-axis. Now mathematically, to figure out if you are flipping from the y-axis, the x values change sign. Spelled change wrong. The x values, oh my, my pencil, there it goes. So my x is going to go from -1 to +1, but my y value is the same. My x is going to go from -2 to +2, but my y value stays the same. That is a flip or a reflection over the y-axis. If I wanted to flip it over the x-axis, the y values would change sign. Now your textbook writes this big old long thing. To find the coordinate points for the image flipped over the y-axis, multiply each x coordinate by -1. The y coordinate stays the same. That is a lot of words. So what I would write down is if you are flipping over the y, which means from one side of the y-axis to the other side of the y-axis, change the x values. And if you are flipping, if we were to flip over the x, so from the top to the bottom, or bottom to top, you would change the signs of the y values. So write that down somewhere. If you're flipping over the y, change the x. If you're flipping over the x, change your y's. And then let's look at exactly what your textbook problems look like. Part of the issue students have with these is a lot of these are given as word problems. That's a lot of words written on this for one problem. And there's a couple of things that we're going to have to do. So this one says, graph the line segment that joins points 2, 3, and 1, 5 in blue. So let's take one step at a time. So I'm going to use my blue on here. It joins points, so 2, 3. I'm going to actually write this here so I kind of see what I'm doing. 1, 5. Now, you'll know I don't draw a straight line very well, but there's that line. And actually, let me rewrite. That's okay. So, there's my lovely drawing. So that's my first done point. Then it says calculate the coordinates of the flip over the x-axis and draw its graph in green on the same Cartesian coordinate plane. First of all, Cartesian coordinate plane is just this xy graph. So here's what we need to figure out. We need to flip over the x-axis. Here's my x-axis. So this is going to go down over the x-axis. So remember, if we're going to flip over the x-axis, the y values change. So my x is going to stay, but my y is going to flip. My x is going to stay, but my y is going to flip. Those are the points that I am going to graph. When I am flipping over the x-axis, the y points change. And this one says to graph in green. So 1, -5, 2, -3. Oh, that should be on that point, sorry. And then we connect those points. So there's my second thing done. And then my third one says, calculate the coordinates of the flip of the original segment over the y-axis. So we're calculating the coordinates of the flip of the original. So we're going to go back to this. That's my original. We are going to flip it over the y-axis. So we're going to go from here to here on the y-axis. Remember, if we're flipping over the y, the x values change. So my x is going to become -1. My y is going to stay. My x is going to become -2, and my y is going to stay. So then I plot those points, -1, 5, -2, 3, -1, 5, -2, 3. And that's it, okay? That's what this lesson is asking you to do. So when you get to these word problems, you've just got to take it one step at a time. And if you're going to follow the directions, you're probably going to need colored pencils on all of these. And I don't think your textbook has your graphs drawn, so just do your best on these. So I'm putting this up here just one more time to make sure you have this written down. For a reflection, to flip or reflect over the y-axis, change the sign of the x values. To flip or reflect over the x-axis, change the sign of the y values. Have that written down somewhere, and we're going to do one more problem with a shape versus a line. All right, so here's what this says. And I think I may have said in an earlier part of this video that you're going to be working with lines. I looked ahead, and lesson 144 does have you doing some shapes, so we're going to do one. So this is how these are going to look. You're going to say, it's not you, you're going to be told, graph the following points. Let's do that. Let's graph this first. -2, -2. And I like to write these here so I don't have to think so much later. And then I'm going to graph 3, -2. Then I'm going to graph -2, -5. And then I'm going to graph 3, -5. Then it says join them to create a quadrilateral. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that on top of that because I'm fixing to write over it. This was -2, -2, 3, -2. So now we're going to connect these, except I can't draw a straight line. And there's my quadrilateral. Now we're going to graph a reflection, and actually this is a misprint. This tells us on the original book over the x-axis. So here's my x-axis. So we're going to graph the reflection over that x-axis. Now remember, to graph over the x-axis, we change the y signs. Okay, so again, this is a misprint. That should be x. So instead of having -2, -1, we are going to change the y-axis sign, or the y signs. So x stays -2, y becomes 2. X stays 3, y becomes positive. X stays negative, y becomes positive. X stays positive, y becomes positive. And those are my new, I didn't draw parentheses with the rest, so I'll delete that. I didn't draw, that's not what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I'm trying to say. We're flipping over the x-axis, so we change the y values. So -2, +2. -2, well, 3, +2. -2, +5. 3, +5. And then I have a, if I had drawn, I could draw my line straight, I would have a mirror. It's like Pablo Picasso or somebody did this. If I had those lines drawn straight, I would have a perfect mirror image of that original shape. So remember, if you're flipping over the x, change the y value. If you're flipping over the y, change the x values. Okay? All right, for homework, you're going to do page 307, and I'm pretty sure I did that classwork as the example, but do it just in case. You can check it on our thing. And then I want you to do all of lesson 144. That is pages 317, which only has 2 problems on it, and 318. All right, so that is your homework. If you have any questions on these reflections or anything else, just text me and let me know.